Hello, my loves, and welcome back to another message. Today we're going to start with the Seasons of the Witch Mabon deck. Molasses. Yum, 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 yum. To move forward, you must know where you are headed. Even when we're moving slowly, right? I think don't forget that even when you feel like nothing is happening, that nothing is coming to you, well, that simply isn't true because you're living in the moment, right? It feels the same way as it does in the height of summer when it is so stinking hot, or in the cold of winter when it is so dark all day, not all day long, but it is so dark for most of the day. And it is so cold and uncomfortable to be outside. That doesn't mean things aren't changing. Day by day, the light grows or fades. You know, it's funny how those two seasons came to mind too, because those two seasons, like, yes, there is change, but once summer has really taken hold, everything is abundant and it just kind of looks like abundance the whole summer, right? It feels more in this stasis for the whole entire summer, even though if you know how to look, you can see the different flowers bloom at the different time periods of the summer that is their schedule, right? And just like in the winter, if you know how to look, you can see that the sunlight is growing day by day if you pay attention to that clock. And you can feel the differences in the weather, the weather here where I am in December is very different from the weather in January and into February. Those are the very sort of cold, dry months generally, although lately the weather's been very effed because, well, capitalism. But yeah, it's so, and also, that weather is very different from what's going on in March leading up to the equinox into, the springtime, right? So I think what this is guiding us to do right now is just to take a step back and understand that things are moving. Maybe not as quickly as we would like them to, of course. We're always impatient for getting that, gingerbread baked. And oh my goodness, I am thinking about the gingerbread I am going to make this fall, and I am so excited. And I love gingerbread cookies, but I really, really, really love the gingerbread cake. Oh my God, I could eat so much of it and I would be sick, but it would still be glorious. But yeah, you have to wait for that cake to bake. You have to wait for those seasons to change. And be a bit more mindful, just so that the waiting doesn't seem as long. Take a bit more of the wonder in, of the slow changing of that season that you're in, right? It's like part of my favorite thing about going for walks, and being out in nature has just been something that has called to me since I was a little wee babe. I always wanted to be outside. I always want to be amongst the trees. But one of the things that is so important on my walks, even if it is every day, which it basically is the small changes that happen day by day. And I can see that. I can see the differences in the birds and the way that they're behaving, right? I can see the differences in the way that the, bugs are in season, in which season they are in, right? The monarchs don't come out until later in the summer. The grasshoppers and crickets don't come out until like midsummer, and they stay until the end of summer. So it's just being mindful, right? Let it be a meditative process, what you're going through. Because at the end, you get this sweet, delicious treat, and your tummy's going to be so happy, and your soul is going to be so happy, and your heart, because you did something for yourself, and probably to share with others, that took some time and effort, right? Okay, where do we want to go next? Spirit, cosmos, gods, deities. I think we want some woodland wardens here. All right, so in keeping with understanding that change, often doesn't happen overnight. I mean, well, it doesn't. Like, that's the thing. Change happens often enough overnight, but change also often enough is something that takes time, right? So what can we do while we're waiting here? What can we remember? What can we keep focused on? Mischief. Oh my goodness. It's so funny. I love it so much. The readings that I listen to from other readers, but even my own readings have really generally come back to, hey, remember to be a kid again. Remember how long the summers felt, right? Remember how easy it was to slip into play mode, right? Man, oh man, just come back to your inner child. Let that inner child come out and play. Just play. Fill up your time that you're waiting for these other things with play. That's what kids do, right? And whatever play looks like for you, whether it's hanging out with friends and even just chatting, but being playful with each other, being silly with each other, making each other laugh. I just got a karaoke machine that I would love to go and hang out with my friends and my family, and let's get down to the singing, baby. So just be playful. It doesn't matter what it is. Just make that sort of like the foundation of your days. You do the things that you have to do. You do your work. You take care of yourself and your household. And you take care of the people who you love. But the rest of the time that you are maybe spending too much time in your head, waiting for the next thing that you're looking forward to, fill that time up with being playful, because it makes the time go so much more beautifully, and of course, like, more fun. My kitty is scritching on her scritchy pad, and my other kitty is playing in her tunnel right now, so very appropriate. Very appropriate vibes, little ladies. But yeah, making our lives much more enjoyable, even in the moments when we are waiting for something to happen. Okay, I need a sip of my water because my throat just suddenly got dry. Apparently I need to go refill. I think that's beautiful. And a good reminder also for myself. Again, so many readings that I've gotten for me, that I do for me, is always coming back to that childlike energy. And I think it's a big thing that we all need to remember now, that we all need to do for ourselves. Because, we have, as long as your childhood was okay, I'm not discrediting or discounting, those who have had really, really, really crappy childhoods, but in general, what childhood should be is just all this play, this learning and this self-discovery through play, right? And why do we stop playing? Why do we stop that? Why do we think the only thing we can do is complain about life and only talk with each other? Why is there no more play? Now, I'm also a board gamer, and I play D&D. So I do have that built into my social group, but I see a lot of other people who don't necessarily have those sorts of things. And it just kind of makes me sad, because it's you shouldn't just be playing with your kids. We should be playing with each other. All right, where are we going next? I think we're going with the B tarot here. All right. What else do we need to know about this message of filling up our waiting time for the next thing with play and delightful things. Temperance, yes, of course. The balance between, so here, this is very much, and I already said it, but like this is very much giving me the process of making the gingerbread, right? The time that we take to do stuff, the time that we do the preparation of something that will come at a later point in time, right? I feel like you need to really, really focus on making sure that you balance the work that you do with play, right? And again, exactly what I was just saying about the mischief, about the playfulness and stuff like that. We need to fill up the time that we're waiting between us putting in that gingerbread into the oven and waiting for it to be done and then waiting for it to be cool enough to eat. We need to fill that up with this mischief, this playfulness. I also find too that being playful is so very good for your brain. It is so very good for keeping your brain quick. Because when you're being silly with people, and especially as adults, it's often in terms of being witty, being funny with our words. It allows you to expand your brain to try to sort of like blindside your friends and your family with something just so silly, right? It is very good for your brain. And then that feeds into going back and creating more things that you want to bring into your world, right? Because if you haven't expanded your mind through play yet in a way that you don't even... If you haven't expanded your mind to be able to understand more outside of what you already know, then you don't even know what it is you can bake and bring into your life, right? You don't even know the many wondrous things outside of your current sort of paradigm that you can be bringing in. So it feeds into each other, right? Princess of Jars. Now, this is somebody who is so very, again, we have a child here, right? This is somebody who is not sort of, what's that word? Practiced in keeping their emotions sort of, in balance, right? This is somebody who might get carried away with things. But sometimes that's okay, as long as it's in balance, right? But I feel like the Princess of Jars is always looking at the world as though the cup is full. It's not even half full. It is full, right? It's overflowing. There's so much wonder and beauty in the world when we come at it through a child's eyes. Whoop. Oh, we fell on the floor. So we have the barrow, which is the chariot. And this is, again, re-emphasizing that living in a state of childlike wonder and playfulness helps the things that we're doing come in faster. Because it feels like it's coming in faster. Because we're not, a pot boils faster when we're not watching it, Grass grows faster when we're not sitting there watching it. And who wants to spend all of their time just waiting for that pot of water to boil, waiting for that grass to grow? Why aren't you enjoying the garden of your life, right? And playing in that garden? Do we want more B deck? know? What do we want? What do we want? Being pulled to the Alchemy of the Spirit deck here. What are some sort of final things we should know about how to keep ourselves sort of in balance here? Spirit, cosmos, deities, our inner selves, our deepest selves, and our highest selves. The river. And we've got, I'm assuming that's an otter there. And we've got our playful kitty. And we've got these fishies jumping it up into the river, going up into the sky, going up into the cosmos. We are most, oh, that's a beautiful message. We are most, we are closest to God, to spirit, to the cosmos, to everything that we are connected to, which is everything. How wondrous is that? We are most connected to that and closest to that when we are childlike, when we are playful, right? When we are following our intuitions of the things that we just desire to do, right? So that's play. That's the arts and crafting. That's following our desires and our passions, right? And then we get this incredibly abundant river that is just flowing through us. Everything is always running over because we can share that with others too, right? Laughter is infectious. And so is playfulness. So long as you're not so stuffy that you've basically made a mannequin out of yourself. There is infinite playfulness and joy for everyone. That is the stuff that playfulness and joy and following your instincts on your desires and your passions, that is holy. And that is ready for you to be open to allow to flow through you. So don't take life so seriously. Don't worry about, when your cake is going to be ready to eat, because you'll hear that timer, you'll pull it out of the oven, and you'll wait for it to be cool enough, or you won't, and you'll burn your tongue. But don't worry about it. You've already done the work here. You've already done the work. And now it's time to fill up your time with play until the next thing that you want to work towards comes along, and then you do the work again. And then while you're waiting for it to bear its full fruits, you play, you rest, you play, you laugh. What a lovely, lovely message. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.